The meetings began with just the need to deal with emergency placements for adolescents. But the more we got together, the more and more we began to see the potential for what the shelter might ultimately become. And my goodness, it's become much more now with the vast array of services that are currently managed by the shelter than we ever envisioned at that time.
As the shelter began to develop, it was just wonderful. It was so wonderful to have a facility in town. I remember relatively young guardian ad litem, Gene Shepard, and also Went Winters Jr. They would often represent the kids and even the parents in some of those early judicial proceedings. So they understood the problem very, very, very personally.
The shelter started as an organization to provide help, particularly emergency shelter care for children in need of care, what we used to call as abused and neglected children. But the mission, unfortunately, the need is still there. But again, the constant is this organization exists to help kids.
I go back before the shelter when we didn't have the services that they provide today. And I remember arresting juveniles or picking up juveniles, people under 18 at night or on the street, and not having anywhere for them to go.
Under the old ways, somebody a juvenile would be, let's say, picked up for shoplifting or some minor crime, and it wouldn't be until after that case went through the district attorney's office before somebody finally figured out or got a hold of that kid to provide some services, and the shelter saw that, and staff brought that to the police department, convinced us to develop a program where we could try to get those kids seen by somebody at juvenile intake.
Well, the relationship we have with the shelter is one of those relationships where it just really helps us do our job. It helps us serve the community by having a relationship outside our agency that works closely with kids in so many different ways. You know, it gives us an extra arm out there to assist kids in a way that we can't necessarily do day to day in the courtroom.
I don't know, it's rewarding in that just knowing that, you know, we can't help them all, but just the one that we do makes just a, big difference.
I find it very fulfilling, and I find it very almost like a spiritual practice. As you talk to these children and treat them in a certain way, you have to treat yourself that way, and it becomes kind of a full circle. So I find it's meaningful on a really deep level as well.
The shelter is like a little extension of our family by now. They kind of know when we have good days and bad days, just like our biological families do. They have been in the field a long time, and they know the system, and they are just totally committed to what they're doing.
I would really hope that the shelter makes a great deal of difference for individual people as they need help. We want to be there for every different kind of emergency, and I hope that that's what we've done that's been helpful.